Anybody still in there? Are you still with me? Are you with me for part 3? That's right. The third in the saga of the comedies that molded me. If you haven't caught up with the videos just yet, folks, I'm just going to go over it real quickly. I'm going through some comedy videos that more or less molded me during my formative years, and it still remain just as funny now to me as they did when I first saw them. I'm going to dive right back into it here. There'll be links in the sidebar over there for the first 2 videos, so check them out whenever you get a chance, folks. Diving right back into it, everybody likes board games, but what about a board game that came to life? Now this one did not do real well at the box office, I'll go ahead and tell you, and it's not to everybody's taste. Some people might even go so far as saying it's just plain goofy and it's just a bunch of comedic fodder that just needs to be let go. But not me. The movie is Clue, put out in 1985 if I'm not mistaken, based on the Parker Brothers board game, but it stars some very, very great, or some comedy greats. I mean, it's got Martin Mull, Christopher Lloyd's in this, Tim Curry. You've got Madeline Kahn, Michael McKean, Leslie Ann Warren. It's got some great supporting characters. It's not a real huge cast because it's like a confined space. It basically just unfolds like the board game would, but it has a lot of comedy built in. That's what I like about this movie and I never get tired of. They actually give it's like it's a well-divided comedy. I'll say it that way. Every person or actor in this movie has like their own little element that they stick to, and they all get enough screen time to where it's all just very, very even for everybody. I really like Clue because it's one of the cool little endings things that they did this movie, kind of like a gimmick. From whenever you went to see it at the movies, each time you went to see it, it had a different ending. It had about 3 different endings, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 3 different endings. And it was just luck of the draw. Whichever time you went to the movies, you would see a different ending when you went. The DVD here, that's the only extra feature on the movie. You can watch it. It'll randomly select an ending for you to tell you who the killer is and who did it with what and where. Or you can select it and it'll show you all 3 endings. It's the way I usually do it because I just like seeing the whole movie. Clue, there again, not much really to say. It's based on the board game. A lot of comedy inside of that one. Like it, just personal favorite. Never get tired of it. How can you come through the 80s and not like some kind of Eddie Murphy flicks? Folks, I gotta tell you, one of my favorites, and it's not really one of his more over-the-top R-rated features. In fact, I think this one's rated PG-13. It's The Golden Child. Now this is one that, right in the mid-80s, about 1986, I think about 86, Eddie Murphy was at the height of his career, or right in the middle of it, basically, with Beverly Hills Cop, Trading Places, and all these other movies that he made prior and was going to make afterwards. This is one that didn't do too well at the movie theaters. It was kind of ill-received. It's because it had a little bit of sci-fi fantasy thrown into it, but it has some really great parts in it. Like when he's trying to get through the airport in Kathmandu with this big knife, and he plants it on another guy, and it's just got some great parts in it. It's a little bit cleaner than most of his movies as far as language or situations, but not that I'm naive. I mean, I watch his movies. I mean, it's just one of those deals. I just like it because it's got a good heart to it. He goes to save this kid, and I don't know, just a great little movie. Never get tired of it. There again, kind of like the Blues Brothers and the rest of them, when there's nothing else on, I can't find anything, I'll throw The Golden Child in. It's just funny. I don't know. Can't explain it. Yeah, another one with Eddie Murphy, one of his first efforts. I think this one came out right after 48 Hours, which I believe was his first film. This one is Trading Places. Trading Places stars, of course, Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd in the lead roles, but it also has Jamie Lee Curtis of Halloween fame, and some old greats, Don Ameche and Denholm Elliott. I mean, the list goes on. This movie is just really, really funny, guys. It was a John Landis joint, if you will. It's just got some hilarious situations that they put them in. It's the old, let's take somebody out of this role and switch them out and see how their lives unfold kind of story. Just never get tired of it, folks. It's got It's got a few Landis touches in there that you cannot mistake, and it is a John Landis film. Watch out for the parts on the subway at the end with the gorilla. Enough said. Yes, getting through it. Another 80s one you can't really escape the 80s without semi-liking in some way. It's the first Ghostbusters film. Folks, I'm a product of the 80s, late 70s and 80s, and part of the early 90s. As far as my formative years. This one's got some special features on it. Ivan Reitman production and direction on this one. Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, all the same. A lot of people that came from my other films that I liked in this pile here. It was a collaborative effort, and what really saved this movie, I believe, was the special effects. I mean, it had some great comedy in it, but if it didn't have the knock your socks off great effects for that time, it wouldn't have been as good a movie. I don't think so. Forget about the sequel. Don't really like it. But the first one, I can watch it. It's pretty good. Yes, folks. Let me dust it off. I haven't watched this one in a while, and I'm ashamed. I need to. You gotta have a little Monty Python in your diet. Why not start that diet off with Monty Python and the Holy Grail? A Grail? Yes, I said it. A Grail. Yes, this film, folks, is the special edition. This is a very good edition. You need to go get this one. It's got the little lenticular cover before it goes out of print. I heard it's going to go out of print soon. So get out there and get it if you can. Folks, Monty Python, Holy Grail, 1974, 75, somewhere around in there when it was produced and put out the movies. It probably goes down in history as probably the best or one of the best Monty Python films. After they got done doing Monty Python and the Flying Circus and all that comedy show they used to do. Monty Python and the Holy Grail is really, really cool because I actually watched this movie, I think, all the way through the first time. I watched most of it at a friend's house growing up, and I think I watched it all the way through for extra credit for a history course I had in high school. Believe it or not. Yes, and I actually made an A because I watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail. That's correct. Anyway, can't get better, that English humor. It's really great. I never get tired of it. Terry Jones, Terry Gilliam, Eric Idle, Michael Palin, Graham Chapman, John Cleese. Just the whole crew's in this one. They play a lot of multiple different parts. Just funny. Really great. I think I'll round out the trilogy here, folks, the saga, with one of the ones that probably gets watched the most. It's probably up there in the top 5 of my favorite 80s comedies, probably not 70s, but my 80s comedies that I like. Got to go with Mr. T and DC Cab. This one didn't do too well at the movies, but this is another one sort of like Revenge of the Nerds that just really took off on HBO. And this movie, I don't know, it was on HBO, the early days of HBO. They showed this and the darn Beastmaster incessantly. Anytime you turn on HBO, it was either the Beastmaster or DC Cab. At least during that whole brunt of the 80s there, in the mid-80s. I don't know, strange, but good for me because I like the movies. But anyway, folks, this is about as bare bone as you get. I'm surprised I even found it recently at Big Lots on DVD. I've never been able to find it find it locally on DVD. This one doesn't even have DVD menus on it, believe it or not. I don't know if it's a misprint or what, but you just put it in and it plays. Strange? Yes. Good movie? Yes. Am I happy? Yes. This concludes the trilogy of comedies that molded this face right here. Yes, they made me happy all the years of my life, and they're still making me happy. If you haven't seen them, my orders are, go to your video store and rent them or buy them, yes. That includes you down there, yes, and you over there, you up there, and over there. Take care, folks. Thanks for viewing. I appreciate it. Be safe.